Hi, I'm Don from Don's Family Vacations, and in case you're thinking on taking your first cruise, but you're kind of overwhelmed with how many cruise lines and how many cruise ships there are to choose from, there's actually over 257 cruise ships out there, as well as 47 different cruise lines. So we're going to talk about five of them and give you the pros and cons of each one, and then help you better choose what cruise line would be perfect for you for your first cruise, or even if you've only stuck with, say, you're going with Norwegian all the time just because you're trying to collect their reward points. Maybe another cruise line might be better suited for your personality and your style. So, we're going to take a look at all that coming up right after this. So our first stop is Carnival Cruise Lines, or the fun ships as they like to be called, or the party ships. And because of this, they can be quite crowded on sea days, and the pool areas can be kind of small. Uh, don't forget, Carnival is one of the cheaper of all the cruise lines out there, and this makes it very easy for people to do 3 and 4 day cruises. If you think you're going to run away to an adult only pool, remember that Carnival has stopped adult pools on their ships, saying that they're a family friendly area. Next, we have Dr. Seuss. This is their big kids' playhouse, and they have parades, they have green eggs and ham special dinners. I know that this was big in my day. I'm 55 years old. I'm not sure how prevalent Dr. Seuss is today to kids, but all the kids here seem to be having a very good time with the Cat in the Hat and Thing 1 and Thing 2. Next, we have the food. The food here tends to be kind of standard fare, but they do have Guy's Burger Joint with Guy Ferrera, famous from the Food Network, who has monster hamburgers. And if you want to try some weird flavored hamburgers, there's like 55 choices you can have, but a lot of them are fantastic. They also have a lot of bar areas and a lot of restaurants, so food is not really an end. Just don't expect five-star dining at most of the restaurants, especially the buffets. If you want to try a local club or a local atmosphere of a pub, try the Red Frog Inn. Has lots of games, a friendly neighborhood. They're watching sports on the TVs all the time. For kids, they have the Waterworks. There's tons of water here, attractions here. They have basketball courts. There's lots of things to do on the ship. The entertainment in their lounges and things like that are kind of standard fare, lower end. You're not going to see Broadway shows here, but they can be fun. Now the downside. Because they're cheap cruises and they tend to be known as the party ships, you're going to get a lot of people looking like this. A lot of drunks sometimes, especially on high peak times. So keep that in mind. And then we all know that Carnival has had some issues with some of their ships in the past. We all remember in the news the ship that got stranded for 4 days with no power. The toilets were backed up. They had no food. People were sleeping on the decks and in the hallways because they couldn't stand the smell of their ships. So keep that in mind when you're thinking of Carnival. Thankfully, that stuff hasn't happened in quite a few years now, and they seem to be getting their act quite well together, and they are one of the cheaper cruises out there. So if this is your first time cruising, you might want to consider Carnival as your first choice. Next, let's talk about Norwegian Cruise Line. They tend to be a little more expensive than Carnival would be, but they have a lot of large ships, and they have a very good presence in Alaska if you're looking for an Alaskan cruise. They also have a lot of amenities on board. They have a lot of new innovations that they're coming up with, and we'll talk about some of them coming up. The decks tend to be quite large. There's lots of open areas. The pool areas, like most places, can be small, etc. But overall, they're a very nice modern ship company, and their price range is quite reasonable. So let's take a look a little bit about the ships themselves. Like I said, there's plenty of onboard activities. They have all the bells and whistles, like the splash zones and the pool areas with lots of water slide to keep your kids and teenagers happy. And hey, even the kid in us, I like going on some of these water slides all the time myself. They have quite a few pools. They don't have one large TV screen outside. They tend to have a couple smaller ones, kind of divide the ship from one left side to the right. but there's lots to do. They have climbing zones, they have rock walls, they have basically anything you can think of on a cruise ship. The only thing I haven't seen is maybe a wave rider, but they have climbing nets. They're tended to be more for the youth and young kid as far as on the deck is concerned. They do have some basketball courts and things like that for older teenagers, so there's a little bit of something for everything. And they don't really have characters on the Norwegian, so there's no Disney characters or Marvel or even Dr. Seuss running around, so keep that in mind. As far as restaurants are concerned, they have a wide choice of restaurants and bars on their ships, from ice bars where it's -10 and you have to go in with overcoats on and things like that. But I mean, the food in some of these restaurants is actually very, very good. The buffet is, again, standard fare as in most cruise lines, but the choice of other restaurants on board can be quite amazing. And give yourself a chance to try some of these. They have experimental restaurants where it's like tasting plates and you kind of fusion of all the different things. There's restaurants where you order from iPads. There's traditional restaurants. There's steakhouses. And some of the restaurants have outdoor patio areas that give some great views during sea days and dock when you're pulling into port. So keep that in mind as well. Don't be afraid to go outside to have some of your meals. And one of the things I really like about Norwegian is they have single cabins. Now there's no glitz and glamour with these cabins, but they're quite nice and not a bad size when you're by yourself, and can save you 100% of the cost, because normally you have to pay for 2 people even if you're 1 person in a cabin. So these cabins can be great money savers. As far as entertainment is concerned, this is kind of where they're a little lackluster compared to some of the bigger other cruise lines. They have some very fun entertainers, and a lot of people have a lot of fun during these shows. But again, you're not really going to see Broadway quality shows on board. They have a big amphitheater on most of their ships, and one of their biggest shows is like a luau and things like that. They have lots of comedy clubs showings. Sometimes you can see 3 different comedians on the same cruise, depending on the length of your cruise. But most of it tends to be local entertainers. As far as the cons concerned, I think that's probably the biggest con is the lack of real quality entertainment. But Norwegian Cruise Line themselves are a great cruise line. They're well represented in the industry. There's not a lot of complaints about staff or anything like that. So overall, Norwegian is a very good pick. And a lot of people, once they start with Norwegian, tend to stay with them. The third cruise line we're going to talk about is Royal Caribbean International, or just RCL as most people call them. When it comes to Royal Caribbean, their motto seems to be go big or go home. And let's face it, with their Oasis class ships, they have the 3 largest ships in the world. And how much bigger can they be? Just take a look at this comparison beside 4 other cruise ships. The ships are enormous. Now that being said, remember that a ship that large is going to hold a lot more people, but because the way they made the ship, you don't really feel that crowded. The ship can hold 6,000 people. But I mean, just take a look at this picture. You can see basketball courts, flow riders, slides, water slides, and that's just at the very rear of the ship. They have an entire outdoor water show attraction that can sit 1,000 people. And yeah, you don't even know it's part of the ship. It's so large. So that is a very good feeling when you're on these ships. And Royal Caribbean is one of the higher rated cruise lines in the world as far as customer service is concerned. One of the things I like about the large ships is that they have one unique feature. Besides having the boardwalk and Central Park and things like that, they have indoor balcony cabins. What I mean by that is that the ship is designed with a big hole in the middle, so you actually have balconies facing the interior of the ships. They cost less than ocean view, but still give you fresh air, a nice place to sit and have coffee and watch the shows. Also, the entertainment here on these ships is first class. They actually have Broadway shows on some of their ships, and they're directly from Times Square and where you would expect to see quality shows. As far as the food is concerned, their buffet is probably the weakest part of their ships. While they have a wide choice and a wide variety, it does, when you compare to, I guess you would call it standard fare buffet, you're not expecting much, you're just expecting to eat a lot. They have a lot of choices. They have 150 different things on their menu and it changes quite often. So that's not the issue. To me, it's a buffet. I can get that at my local Chinese restaurant buffet if I want. So in this case, I would put aside a little bit extra money and take in some of the specialty dining restaurants, as they are first class restaurants on these ships, especially Central Perk and places like that. Central Perk, I'm thinking of Friends, sorry. Central Park restaurant is fantastic. It only holds like 40 people, so you have to make reservations in advance, but it's absolutely breathtaking food and you will not regret taking it. As far as other entertainment concerned, like I said, the larger ships have outdoor aqua water shows that can hold 1,000 people. They have TV screens in the back that show movies. They have all kinds of things that happen on these ships. And in case you've never been on one of these ships and attended one of these outdoor aqua shows, I'm going to warn you, don't sit in the first 3 to 4 rows because you're definitely going to get wet. But if you're with kids, they have a great time during this time. And speaking of kids, these ships tend to be geared more towards the young adult range, like the 12 and older range more than the younger kids. There's plenty of things to do for younger kids, but I would say the entertainment on board is more geared to somebody a little more mature. And that being said, they go all out. They have huge auditoriums, they have flow riders for all ages, and if you've never tried a flow rider in your life, give it a try. I embarrass myself all the time when I'm on these things, but they're so much fun. On some ships, you're going to have things like bumper cars and even skating indoors. So let's just say the entertainment is top notch when you're talking about Royal Caribbean, especially on the bigger ships. The ships can be so huge that they are a destination in themselves, and that can be the problem. The downside of Royal Caribbean and the large ships is that the itineraries that they put the large ships on tend to be the least exotic and the least entertaining. There'll be Cozumel and standard stops like that, Nassau, things that are not quite up to par with a lot of people looking for intrigue and unique destinations. That's because the ships themselves are the destination. They're something that you want to experience and want to see for the first time. And a lot of people who try these big class Oasis or the Anthem of the Seas ships fall in love with those ships so much they won't sail on any other ship. So keep that in mind. Royal Caribbean, go big, go home. Next we have Princess Cruise Line, and that's right, Princess Cruise Line was the one associated with the television show way back in the 80s, The Love Boat, with Captain Steubing, Julie, Gopher, the Doc, and of course Isaac the bartender. So if you're my age, this brings back fond memories of that very campy, very entertaining television show. And that being said, boy, have they gone a long way since back then. The ships have more than doubled in size, and all the itineraries are worldwide nowadays. Princess Cruise Line tends to be a little more sophisticated. And by that, I don't mean that they're stuffy or arrogant and only for like the multi-rich is, what you would have that feeling of. It's for adults. It's for people who are looking for a more relaxing vacation than a go, go, go kind of vacation or a party atmosphere that you might get on Carnival. That being said, there tends to be a lot less kids on these cruises, especially on some of the bigger ships like the Regal and everything like that, which leaves a lot more open space on decks. As a lot of adults tend to spend a lot of time in their balconies looking at the water as opposed to on decks sitting by the pool. So you'll have a lot easier time on a princess ship getting a chase lounge, for instance, than you would on the Carnival Vista, say. Also, because it's geared towards adults, you get all the modern luxuries. In fact, Princess Cruise Lines are probably some of the most modern ships you're ever going to find. And one of my favorite things they have is movies at sea with their huge outdoor movie screen that you can sit outside and watch first run movies or sporting events. They'll play the Grey Cup if that's playing. The ships are absolutely gorgeous. So, if you're an adult looking for a less kid-friendly atmosphere and more of an adult-oriented trip, Princess is probably exactly right for you. Let's talk about their food. Here's where Princess really shines. Their buffet is probably the best buffet on the seas. The food is outstanding, and when you talk about going to their specialty restaurants, it only goes up from there. They quite often are nominated as the best food on the ocean. Their pizza has been rated best pizza at sea for 5 years in a row. And not only that, if you go on itineraries like into Asia or Dubai, they change the menu, not so much that you can't find food that you want, like pasta and hamburgers, but they'll also throw in local food and local dining. So you get that drawn in sensation to the location that you're at. Now, while we're on itineraries, let's talk about Princess Cruise Line in Alaska. By far and away, in my opinion, they're the number one cruise line to go to Alaska. They have multiple ships that visit the area, multiple itineraries, lots of different lengths of stay of the cruise lines. They also have 5 resorts local for land and sea adventures. They have a great embedding in the local area with itineraries for shore excursions where you'll find some of the most unique that are only available through Princess Cruise Lines. As far as entertainment is concerned, Princess Cruise Line does have some Broadway-style shows that can be quite entertaining, and one of the best deck parties I've ever attended is the Love Boat Disco Deck Party. It's quite campy and quite fun, and you can feel free to make a fool of yourself among all the other adults doing the exact same thing. So if Broadway style shows and disco deck parties are your thing, then Princess Cruise Line is probably for you. They also have a lot of great teaching seminars about whatever local area you're in, whether it be Asia or Alaska, which are quite entertaining and informative as well. Now for a little bit of the con, because they're more adult oriented, you're not going to find all the bells and whistles you'll find on other ships like flow riders and huge water parks and things like that. You're going to find a sports area and a fitness area, but what you're mostly going to find is relaxation areas that are quiet and peaceful. The decks are going to be less crowded. There's going to be more pools. You're going to feel more open, more spacious. You're going to have top quality food and not a lot of little kids running around. So if you're 40 and above and you're looking for a sophisticated, quiet, relaxing cruise line, Princess Cruise Line is probably for you, because their downside for some family-oriented people is probably the upside for you. And Princess Cruise Line is definitely a 5-star cruise line and great for adults. Lastly, let's talk about Disney Cruise Line, probably the most expensive of the cruise lines we've talked about today. So is the money worth it? In my opinion, absolutely, especially if you're a Disney fanatic. I love going to Disney, but let's talk about Disney as a whole to begin with. They now own Star Wars, they have Pixar, they have all their animated, their live action movies, and Marvel. So there's so much that they can draw from for entertainment for yourselves. As you walk around the ships, you're going to see all types of little touches of Disney. And it's not in your face, it's kind of subtle. It's going to have little statues or little pictures around. You're going to see Beauty and the Beast pictures behind you while you're dining. You're going to see maybe Star Wars characters walking around while you're on the ship. Little details to Cinderella and all the classic Disney movies are all over the ships, but it's not in your face where it seems like you're being bombarded with cartoon characters all the time. And the restaurants on a Disney ship are fantastic. The Palo is an upscale restaurant. I've never had a bad meal there yet. They have all kinds of other restaurants that are not upcharges that you could eat at, that have big screen televisions that Characters from Finding Nemo will swim up and talk to you and your children and entertain you. If you're looking for restaurants that are going to keep your kids busy while you eat, Disney Cruise Line is definitely right for you. You can enjoy an hour and a half long meal with no problem because the kids are quite entertained while they're there. Let's quickly talk about the staff on board a Disney Cruise Line ship. You're very rarely ever going to have a problem with somebody on the staff. In fact, most of them go way out of their way to be entertaining and polite and helpful, and will do their best to make sure you have a great cruise. And let's talk about the onboard entertainment. Come on, it's Disney. They own Star Wars, they own Marvel, they have all their own properties. You're going to see some of the best shows in the ocean that you'll ever see. In fact, most of these shows have appeared on Broadway, like The Lion King and shows like that, and you're going to be thoroughly entertained. I'm absolutely guaranteed you will not be disappointed by any of the entertainment on a Disney ship. And as far as families are concerned, Disney is built for families. They're the cruise line that built their ships to accommodate families. So you have kids clubs with Star Wars and Marvel and all age groups, and they are some of the best kids clubs. In fact, I'd have to say they're the best kids clubs you'll ever see on a cruise line. And with characters like BB-8 and Thor and Spider-Man, the kids are going to be thoroughly entertained for quite some time. One of the best things about Disney Cruise Line isn't even on the ships themselves. It's their private island that you can go to. It is amazing. It's big, it's spread out, the food is free, there's all kinds of things to do. There's pirate ships in the water, there's entertainment. It's a fantastic barbecue area if you're looking for it. There's plenty of places to get away from kids and private areas. You can rent cabanas if you wish. Their private island has been voted the #1 private island cruise for cruise lines for 6 years in a row, and quite frankly, there's no competition. They are by far set up perfectly, and that island is amazing, and some people are taking cruises that go to the island twice on the same cruise. That's how much they enjoy it. Also, because the ships were designed for families, the staterooms tend to be slightly larger than you're going to find on other cruise lines. And also, Disney was the first to invent the inside stateroom porthole, which means it has like a video screen with live feeds of what's outside your ship sailing by at that time. It gives light into the room and it makes you feel like you're looking outside at the ocean. Not to mention, for kids, they have characters swim by, like from Nemo and things like that to swim by, and the kids will just go crazy when they see these kind of things happening. So again, Disney is definitely geared towards families. And also, if you happen to book a cruise, you're going to see first run movies. So if you're out there looking for the new Star Wars film and you want a unique experience, maybe book your cruise around the same time that that movie is released, and you get to see it out at sea in the big open screening. They have tons of theme nights, not only for Halloween and Christmas and things like that, but every cruise has a Pirates Night. And let me tell you, some people take Pirates Nights definitely more serious than others, and they love to get all dressed up, and it's actually probably their favorite part of the cruise. And people come in some amazing outfits, and I love taking pictures of everyone when I'm on these ships because it truly is a fun, fantastic experience and fun at night. And let's talk about something else unique to Disney only. They're the only cruise line in the world that is allowed to set off fireworks on every cruise that they take. So, I mean, there's no open flames on ships like that. So to have a cruise line that's geared and specifically built around letting fireworks go is absolutely amazing. So let's just say the entertainment and the value is through the roof for families. So what about if you're a single couple? On Disney ships, there are a lot of areas geared towards couples only with no kids. There's adult-only pool areas, there's relaxation areas, there's the spa areas, there's even staterooms that are designed for no kids at all that have hot tubs and big wide open decks. They do cost a lot of money, but they are geared towards adults. And you're going to have a very relaxing time. They also have lots of dance clubs and entertainment at night that are geared towards adults. Why? Because a lot of kids are in bed by, say, 9 o'clock at night, and they're exhausted from all the things they've done during the day. So if you're a young adult or an older adult and you want to go out dancing and partying, the ship is basically yours. So if you're wondering, as an adult couple, can you have a nice, fun, relaxing time on a Disney cruise line? I'd have to say absolutely, positively, without a doubt, yes. So let's talk about the pros. They're family oriented, larger staterooms, plenty of entertainment, great island, fireworks, first run movies, Marvel entertainment. It's Disney. So, what can possibly be the drawback? Well, it has to be the price point. A lot of people just can't afford to take a Disney cruise. They're very expensive. In fact, an inside stateroom on a Disney cruise can quite often cost you what a suite would cost you on some of the other cruise lines. So keep that in mind. They're a fantastic cruise line for both families and adults, but you're going to pay the price. So there you go. There's a little bit of a breakdown of 5 top cruise lines that are offered cruises all over the world. From the lower point of the Carnival cruise line with the fun party atmosphere to the huge entertainment value on Disney cruise lines and the ultimate adult experience as far as food is concerned on maybe Princess Cruise Line or the largest cruise line ships in the world on the Oasis class ships that are absolutely breathtaking to be on. So there's so many cruise lines out there, so many ships to choose from, and so many things to do. I hope this gave you a little bit more clear understanding of what those cruise lines offered. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up and a like. And if you want to see more videos on cruises or even Disney parks, Universal, or vacations to Hawaii, all over the world, we're going to be traveling there very shortly and lots of videos upcoming. So if you want to see more of those videos, please hit the subscribe button. And until next time, have yourself a great vacation.